Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Paul, aka the multiverse version of Elon Musk, without the money or fame, and this video we're breaking down some big Wandavision theories. The series seemingly now has a huge callback to Doctor Strange that I think actually sets up a lot of things in the MCU. We also have a new theory about Haywards' plans, and some cool little details from the Gabba Gabba show. We're going to be breaking it all down, but if this is your first time here, then make sure you subscribe to the channel for videos on Wandavision that are almost as good as the show. Or so my grandma says. Anyway, with that out of the way, thank you for clicking this. Now let's get into the breakdown. Okay, so episode 7 ended with a big reveal that it was Agatha all along. This head-bopping final scene also brought a lot with it, and it seems like we may have got our first look at the Darkhold in the MCU. Disclaimer, depends on whether Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is canon or not, we do not know, as our Lord Kevin Feige hasn't said. Hail Snydra. However, throughout the comics, many mystics have used this book to cast powerful spells, and it's definitely in the realms of possibility that they're one and the same. But how did Agatha get her hands on it exactly? Well, if we go back to Doctor Strange, there's a scene in it where Wong takes the titular character through the library at Comatage. At one point we're shown the Ancient One's private collection, and can also see that one is missing. Now there's a lot of things to be taken from this, and putting on our nerd hats, there's so many cool little details here that reappear in Wandavision. The first is that the books are surrounded by hexagonal shapes in order to hold them in place. Hexagons have appeared throughout the MCU, but they're extremely important in Wandavision for a number of reasons. Firstly, the hex is as well the shape of a hexagon, and secondly, they appear across a number of things to tie back to the magic that's being used. Thus, we can take that hexagons might actually be integral to the universe and how things are built up. Shoutouts to Screen Crush for pointing out that the Kree pretty much have them in all aspects of their society, and they also appear in Guardians of the Galaxy as warp points, showing that it is possible to go from one place to another by travelling through them. Because they're so intrinsic to how the physical and mystical world are built, it makes sense that these books of great power are surrounded by them. When Strange goes to pick one up, we can also see that there's an ominous orange glow beneath it, and this colour clearly exemplifies the magic of wizards. Throughout the movie, it appears whenever they cast a spell, and it's likely that the majority of magic is tied to this colour. Now Wanda's power always appears red, and this is because she draws from chaos magic. Thus, if we can assume that certain colours are associated with certain forms of magic, then different types of magic must come with a certain colour. Captain Obvious there. Now why I'm bringing this up is because in the show we can see that whenever Agatha casts a spell that the colour purple accompanies it, and the movie Doctor Strange may too let us know where she draws her abilities from. At the end of the film, Doc goes head to head with Dormammu, and we can see that his eyes are glowing with, you guessed it, purple. The being then attacks the Doc several times throughout the time loop, and every single death that he deals out comes with a purple tinge to it. Every time Caecilius draws from the Dark Dimension, we can also see that he has a purple glow around his eyes, and therefore can assume a lot from this. Thus, we can gather that Agatha herself draws from the Dimension too, and this is how she's powerful enough to possess Wanda. If you know the character from the comic books, you'll also be aware that she's over 11,000 years old, and she looks pretty good for an Ancient One, similar to the Ancient One. Now Agatha has clearly also prolonged her life through drawing from the Dimension as well, and it is possible that she and the Ancient One at one point were opposites to one another. Now as of recording this, I don't know if Agatha's age is revealed in the show, but I do hope that we get to see the older version of her, so we can put a pin in her tying directly in with the magic that we see used in Doctor Strange. It's also possible that the Darkhold was indeed part of the Ancient One's collection, and that she stole this in order to go off and craft her own spells. If it is true, then we do know that when it comes to why the book was missing, that it was Agatha all along. And it's definitely something that makes me think Kevin Feige is a genius when it comes to laying the groundwork for Easter eggs. I really hope that Doc turns up to get the missing book back at the end of the show, but I guess we're just gonna have to see. Now on to our next theory, and that involves Project Cataracts. Up top, before we get into the theory, I just want to say that I don't think Wanda ever took Vision's body from the Sword headquarters. Yes, I know what you're going to say, I'm an idiot, yeah, but hear me out, and let's talk about how Hayward first came into the show. Introduced as the acting director of S.W.O.R.D., he sent Monica out on a mission to help the FBI with a missing persons case that eventually led to her coming across the Hex. At no point was his plan to track down Wanda in order to get Vision back, and it's purely by accident that the two stories intertwined. When he showed up to the S.W.O.R.D. facility, he seemed surprised that Vision was in the Hex with her, and it wasn't until the following episode that he brought up Wanda's attack on S.W.O.R.D. As we've gone deeper into the show, we've learned a lot more about cataracts, but at no point has there been any mention of the project being shut down due to Vision's body being taken. In fact, it's far from that, and it seems like Hayward is just monitoring the character whilst that still proceeds in the background. The more I've watched over the footage, the more I've obsessed over this idea and realised that what we've been told is likely a lie. We never see Wanda exit the facility with him, and the only thing that we have to go on is the word of a guy that I wouldn't trust with the Spider-Man 3 title. No, not you, Tom Holland. Anyway, what I think happened is that Wanda showed up to S.W.O.R.D. after learning that, due to Vision not being a person, that his final will and testament had been ignored. Wanda journeyed into the lab to take him and started to wreck shop, but after seeing how they'd massacred her boy, she left and went off, sinking into a deep depression. This allowed Agatha to sink her claws into her, and Hayward continued trying to resurrect Vision in order to provide the planet with a defense system to stop something like the snap from happening again. Monica returned to work, and he sent her off on this mission, which is when she got sucked into the Hex, and he showed up to find that Wanda and Vision were in it. Now, up until this point, I don't believe that Hayward had been able to resurrect his version of Vision, and the reason why he was tracking the one inside the fake reality is to learn how the machine came back to life. However, he may have actually cracked the code on what to do, and it is possible that the big secret that he's talking about in episode 7 is actually the real Vision. This would lead to a Vision versus Vision standoff, in which the fake one would have to take out the real one, which has been repurposed for Hayward's ulterior motives. Now, this is a fan theory, of course, but I do think it explains why Vision is unable to remember anything before the Hex, including the Avengers. It is possible that Wanda met with Agnes, or rather Agatha, who helped her to create this reality along with a new version of Vision. This may be the one we see in the trailer saying to her, "Wanda," and this actually looks like the first time she entered the reality due to her clothing. I think it will be revealed that this is the start of the Hex, and the thing that keeps her in it is the man or machine that she thinks she's lost. And finally, I just want to give a big shout outs to Talia Shuloff, who discovered that the Yo Gabba Gabba video we saw in episode 7 actually had a hidden meaning. In this scene we can see the characters dancing along, but there's actually one missing, and that is the robot one. This could be a callback to how Vision, a robot, is missing from the family. Might be a reach though. We then zoom in on the red and blue ones, and these two colours represent Wanda and Monica, and it could be playing on the fact that Agatha views them as a threat. There's also the possibility that all the characters represent someone in the show, as well as the Infinity Stones, which their colours line up with. Maybe an amazing detail, maybe a reach, but you've saw about 80% of the video now, so thanks for the watch time. Anyway, I'd of course love to hear your thoughts on these details and whether you agree with them or not. Also, if you noticed a cool little Easter egg or a hidden meaning behind something in the show, then comment below and let me know. As a thank you for interacting with the video, you'll be entered into a prize draw on the 28th of February, in which we're giving away 3 copies of the Marvel Phase 3 4K box set to our subscribers. All you have to do to be on the chance of winning is like the video, make sure you subscribe with notifications on, and drop a comment below with your thoughts on the theories. The winners of last month's competition are on screen right now, so if that's you, then message me on Twitter at Heavy Spoilers. If you want something else to watch, then make sure you check out our breakdown of the commercials for Wandavision, which will be linked on screen right now. We've gone through them with a fine-tooth comb and pointed out all the hidden details and how they tie into the bigger picture, so it's definitely worth checking out if you want to know more. With that out of the way, thank you for sitting through the video. I've been Paul, and I'll see you next time. Take care, peace.